To the Chop Shop, I'm retro, let's get it. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the Chop Shop. Yeah, it's lit in the Chop Shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't mixing the bait, but they keep it back straight. Going 30 for 30. Let's do the first take on Facebook Live from 12 to 2. Rob Hatter and Jim Hicks going back and forth like Carter Ray, Skip Bayless and Steve Smith. Come on, go off the court straight to the field. Not a man of steel, but I made steel to the octagon. Where I fight the kill. We go face to face, then you right your wheel. I don't play tennis, but I bring the racket. I'm on the floor, I attack the basket, put you in the casket when I overlap it. Never show mercy, cause I'm always snapping. Never show mercy when I'm in the ring. Step into the ring, see me as I beat. Step into the court, I'm in the backing down, killing competition. I'm backing down, let me get back to the other stuff. At the Chop Shop, cause they're cutting up. It's retro, coming to you live to the Chop Shop. Now let's turn it up. Yeah. Yeah, the Chop Shop, man. Shout out to Jim Hicks and Rob Hatter. You can catch the Chop Shop live 12 to 2 on Facebook Live. Let's get it. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the Chop Shop.
Welcome to the Chop Shop. Yours truly, Jim Hicks. Boy, top of the week going to you. Of course, Robert Hatter's on location, and I am glad to be here with you guys today. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. If you're new to the Chop Shop, it is your midday sports happy hour, the best 120 minutes of your day. I'm going to try to give you guys all I got and then some today. Bring this energy, but first and foremost, as we always do, we have the starting five those are the first 5 viewers, and we're streaming simultaneously, Facebook and YouTube. First 5, those are our starting 5. And of course, we're going to talk a lot about sports. We're going to talk a lot about recruiting. We're going to talk a lot about Major League Baseball, talk current events in sports, but of course, a lot of civil topics as well. But first and foremost, the starting 5. Shout out to Thaddeus Moody. He's not starting 5 today. All right, hold on. We're gonna do it like this. All right. Shout out to Dale Griggs. He's not starting 5 today. Shout out to Rod Wells. He's in our starting 5 today. Jeremy Davis. He's in our starting 5 today. And of course, last but not least, Mindy Collins. Shout out to you in the starting 5. And let's do that again. Let's get this thing started, man. First and foremost, of course, I know everybody out there on whatever you were doing on yesterday, it's probably hard to not see the viral, multi-times viral video of what happened in Birmingham, Alabama. In Birmingham, Alabama, whereas a security guard, a security person working security, put it like that, detail, at a river boat yard. It's a popular attraction in Birmingham. They were he was jumped. He had a fight with one guy, which resulted in him being jumped by 3 guys. Now this story kind of ordinary until when people say, why you always got to put race in the stuff? Because when you put race into this, then it clarifies a lot of stuff. It gets people's attention to a lot of stuff, right? And in this situation, security guy, he's black. All of the 3.5, one guy put a hand on him, so that gives it. So I mean, you touched him. So really and truly, I mean, you 4 jumped on him. That touch surely wasn't a help up from the ground. And afterwards, that's one portion of it. This boat, people were riding it in a tourist attraction, like a ferry type boat. And some people came from off the boat. Some people came from the waiting dock. And one gentleman, to which I don't know where he come from, he swam to the dock, to the slab, climbed up on there, and joined in with a group of people. See, it sounds normal, but I say a group of black people that commenced to getting street justice against those guys, or that mob. You notice they don't use those types of words when it's in this situation at first. Most people, they're calling the black people mob. Some. And during the videos, it was a lot of different undercurrents that people saw that highlighted, punctuated the video. Of course, the first thing is, is this thing is going to be remembered for a mighty long time, for the different elements that took part in there. One, of course, the ending result is that, bottom line, a group of black people got street justice for this black man who got jumped by those 4 white men. And it resulted in a few arrests. And it's one of those things where it was bittersweet for a lot of people. And then you think about Alabama's in the news again. It's happened in Birmingham, Alabama. First cop on the scene was a white cop arresting a black woman. Then you saw multiple black cops start arresting a couple of white guys. So it was a lot of different undercurrents. A black male appeared to make connection with the cranium of a white woman. Popped in the head with a chair. Okay, for those of you that ain't following me closely. What I want to do, as we do all the time when I'm on here solo, of course, just tune into the Chop Shop. I'm going to ask you guys first and foremost to join me in sharing this show right now. Let's share the show. Let's get this week started off with a bang. I want to invite you guys, share the show with me right now. To your pages, to your timelines. And I'm reading some of the comments. Shout out to Nissaville. I ain't heard from you in a while, girl. What's going on? What's going on, Chris Charles? Sonia Billingsley in the house. I see Walter Yates. Mate up in this joint. Reginald Rabbit Simpson in the building. Darrell Barnes in the house. I see you. Well, I'm just letting everybody follow in. Follow on in. Let's share the show. And we're talking. I see Marissa Smith. Happy Monday to you as well. Melvin Dools down in Beaumont. Kevin Freitman in the building. Come on, let's go. Share the show. Let's get this thing popping. We're talking about the Birmingham situation and your thoughts. And what I'm going to do is this. Open up the phone lines for you. As I do when I'm solo. I like to hear some of y'all voices anyway. And for a while, you feel free to share the show, join us, and the topic, of course, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the situation in Birmingham? If you were there, what would you have done? Would you have been one of the videographers? There were several of those. Would you have been one of the instructionalists? I mean, you pointing, he went that way, he went that way. Would you have gotten involved? What would you have done if you were there? And as I wait, of course, the phone lines are open. You guys can call in and join the conversation on the Chop Shop, your midday sports happy hour. And we're going to start this thing off right now. And welcome to the Chop Shop. Who's calling and where you calling from?
Thaddeus Moody from the Windy City.
What's going on, Mr. Moody? How's it going, man? How's it going? What's the temperature up there today?
Oh, it's a beautiful 75 degrees in the Windy City.
Man.
Just to let you know, Jim, that incident happened in Montgomery, Alabama.
What did I say, Mobile? I said Birmingham.
You said Birmingham.
Stand corrected. God, dog. Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Being an Alabama State graduate, I experienced something like that my freshman year during orientation while we were walking from the campus to the to a restaurant on the Sunday, a bunch of Chicago guys. And to make a long story short, it was a Klan rally, and the guy came over the pickup truck waving the Confederate flag, hey, you ends, get out of there. And one of the guys jumped the guy off the truck. But luckily, it was a black police officer who came to us and told us, hey, you guys from the North can't act like you from the North, etc. We walked down the hill, and it was a Klan rally. So me experiencing something like that in Montgomery is nothing new. But me personally, I would have jumped in, too.
You would have jumped in?
Oh, no secret. No secret.
And what part of the video, take us through your emotions through the timeline of the video? What part?
Well, just them approaching them. One of them would have felt some pain from me. And then I love the fact that the one guy swam from wherever he came from, and then the other two came in, and then some other ones came from out of nowhere, which nobody talked about. And actually, one of my friends, a few of my friends that live in Montgomery, told me about the incident because I'm like, what the heck is going on down there? Because I was shocked as well.
Man, thanks a bunch, Thaddeus Moody. I mean, this is definitely an attention-grabbing situation. So what happens?
And also to let you know, that area is on the Alabama River, and that's the new development area that they have built up, that Steve Reed has built up, and he's a black mayor also.
Yeah, they have a black mayor down there. Of course, that's Montgomery, Alabama. I think earlier I said incorrectly Birmingham by accident. But thanks a bunch, Thaddeus Moody, man. Thanks so much for cranking this thing up and getting the conversation started on the Chop Shop. And of course, guys, the phone line's open, 832-264-1500, 832-264-1500. Talking Montgomery, Alabama today. And what would you have done if you were there? What do you think you would have done? You know, a lot of people can play Monday morning quarterback on stuff. And a lot of people And your natural traits will kick in situations like that. Like I say, you saw in the videos. I don't need for me to show it to you. You've seen it. Hell, I don't think that nobody could have possibly watched it one time. I'm really honest about that. I've talked to several people. I haven't met one person that just saw it one time. Hell, I haven't met one that saw it twice. It's because they got so many different videos out there. So, and you watch it's so many different views. I know that it brings me to quote by Malcolm X, and he says, I don't call it violence when it's in self-defense. He says it's called intelligence. First and foremost, what do you think would have happened if nobody came to the defense of that black security guard? In all honesty, there was concrete under his head. He was laying perpendicular to the slab in the best defensive position he could get in. They tore his shirt, ripped his shirt. They were kicking him. They were swinging at him. What do you think? How long do you think this would have went on if nobody was around? Secondly, like I say, you start from the top. Those guys saw the people hanging off the edge of the boat shouting at them because the boat had to circle around. The boat couldn't get to their proper docking point. This boat allegedly was blocking their path. And this is how it kind of started, according to the reports. Those white guys saw black people right there. That's how bold they felt, being in that state for which they felt bold for a mighty long time. They knew black people was there. They wanted to make a statement of this is how we do y'all. Here, if you come, get out of what we consider to be out of line. And I looked at it, and it's thank goodness that, number one, on both sides of the fence, that other than a chair, there was no weapons appeared to be used in this incident. It was an old school squabble. Pretty much an old school squabble. And in old school squabbles, there may be a chair taken out back in the old bar days, you know. And for the most part, the women fought women. Dudes fought dudes. I just wish that, like, it was known, this the rules of the squabble, let's get it in. But in today's society, unfortunately, far too many resort to drastic tactics when they're in the resolution process. Yeah, sure, a lot of people laughing at some of the guys. They can't squabble, this can't do that. But think about this as fighting. Be honest. When and where If you laugh, one of the ones that's laughing, or you getting your practice at? When and where are you getting practice at in squabbling? Most people don't know how to fight. Most don't know how to fight. Right? They think they do. Most people don't understand the average fist fight that's in a person is about 50 seconds tops before tapping out. I'm not saying a fight can last longer, but the average. Professionals who train professionally, they have to go 3 minutes before they can sit down. And when they sit down, do you see how they... That's 3 minutes. If you're on the street and you fighting, so I mean, you got two. Those are people that are physically fit, have to take weigh-in, go on regimens, on their dietary regimens, to go 3 minutes at a time. If you're in good shape on the street, you can go 50 seconds. A guy that sips, smokes, eat fried food every day, 30 seconds. So I know that already when I'm sizing. So if I got into a squabble, I know who I'm fighting against, what I got to work with. That's why it's like some people, if you're in a building of crowded people, you can give it your all, play the odds. Odds are you go good 30 seconds, somebody gonna break it up. Somebody gonna come in and pull one of y'all. You ain't gonna worry, you can tap all in 30 good seconds. But the question wasn't about me, about you. What would you have done if you was there? Right? What would you have done? Of course, Robert Hatter's joined us. He's can't be on physically. He's in the boom boom room. He's dialoguing with you guys. He's out of town on location right now. He is tapping in. Right? So you can't speak on it right now. And one of an unproven but very good theory of inspiring occurrence was this. That dude that just spoken there, y'all know he's feeling some kind of way. He's on a nationwide rally, fundraising campaign, entering next year's election as he faced over 70 counts, felony counts. Could that have been what inspired some of these white folk to feel some kind of way? What you think? Right? So the swimmer, he has a Cash App, and people have been contributing funding to him. It says Cash App crash. And that's one of the things, if you feel so good or vindicated from anything that Status Moody called in a while ago, something happened to him in his younger years that this triggered that horrible memory of an experience with white, black, being out type situation. If you feel in support of these young people who were arrested, these young blacks that were arrested, then donate something to their legal fund. They're going to very possible they're going to could be faced with legal ramifications. They're going to need your support. See, that security guard guy is probably going to lose his job. Think about where he's at. Think about the likelihood of what color his boss may is. That's the weekend now. So the main bosses ain't normally working on weekends. They work Monday through Friday. So he's working on the weekend. So that means think about it. He's going to be getting legal counsel. He's going to go to if he hadn't went, he's going to go to the hospital. So what happens, we're in a situation where most people that's watching now don't know what to do other than applaud, go take to social media, and don't know what to do next. It's life after this, because now it's going to make those guys feel, okay, man, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do the same thing. Or if there's no support for them, if the same people who's applauding on Sunday don't know them on Saturday, then it's not the way to go. Show your support. It's Mate says now we only came together in numbers like that for everything. It could be a fad. Remember, there's a difference between a moment and a movement. It's a moment. The actions after that moment can transform it into a movement. It could become a movement. And don't you think for a second there aren't a certain society of white people saying that they can't hardly wait, or if they were in that situation, I'll show you what I would have done. So that means it is likely to repeat itself in regards to them trying to make a statement when it comes to having numbers against us. You know, I'm reading some of the comments right now. I see Lori Dawson. I actually saw that on the social media. He called the swimmer Pookie and Michael Phelps. Then he later apologized. Dude, you got to realize, swimming is hard. To swim with in that situation, then climb yourself out of the water about 2 to 3 feet out of the water. That takes a toll on your arms. And shout out, but it was I'm reading more of the comments. Hanson Johnson said, just take one mean one to lay somebody out in 2 seconds. Yeah, well, we learned that. Ironically, got a trifecta of squabbles for you guys. And over the weekend, Major League Baseball star and all-star Tim Anderson squared up, invited fellow baseball player for the Cleveland Guardians, Jose Ramirez invited them to a squabble. They both, Tim squared up, looked pretty good in the square up, got a couple of swings in, and somehow Mr. Ramirez caught him right on that button, buckled him, dropped him. And boy, the social media just went bonkers against old Tim Anderson. That was Saturday. That took place Saturday, in the game between the White Sox and the Cleveland Guardians. Chicago White Sox, Cleveland Guardians. It was the sixth inning of that game. It took one mean one. You sure right, Anson Johnson. One mean one. Simeon say, Jimmy will take your head out to fight. The guy throwing it, tossed the head up in the air. Like I said, a lot of people aren't aware of, you don't have to. A lot of people don't know how to fight. And people wondering, what did it mean when he took his head off? First rule I tell you, only he knows, because there's different people from different parts of society in different eras. Some people from an era of not really fighting with trickery, that hat could have been used as a prop to get the opponent, to look the other way, and you can sucker him with the first punch. Some people would have tossed that hat, could have been a moment of their moment of bubbling at the highest point of their festivity, and that could have been the effort moment, and tossed the hat up. Then you have some people, which I doubt, because this wasn't a gang fight, that hat could mean y'all come, that's a signal call. Not in this case. More than likely it was a ploy that the white guy didn't fall for. You gotta, if you're gonna do that type of ploy, then you gotta sell it with your actions. He didn't sell it properly. You gotta sell it. It's kind of like when guys in the hood, when they, do like this and throw an uppercut real quick. That was a sole ploy. And but the question is, all y'all falling in right now, right? Trey Phillips says he was a part of the crew and got fired. So this person will need help securing another job. Any business owner in that particular city of Montgomery, Alabama, should be willing to step up and hire this man if indeed he has lost his job. That's how, like you mentioned earlier, Mate, the community getting together in moments like this, it don't stop just with the squabble. It's life after that. If you know you have a cushion to fall on, and this is what's been happening for years, a lot of white folk know they have a cushion to fall on. A lot. Just think about the terrorists that around the world. They're groomed for one day their number could be called. And if it is called, we got your family taken care of. We got everybody taken care of. Everything is good. Now you got to complete your mission. They go, run up in there, pull the cord on the grenade, on a suicide mission or whatever. And guess what? That's their mission. You go, 4 years or so ago, the young fella white guy in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Kyle Rittenhouse, goes on and on this task of taking the law, or what he considered was law, into his own hands, shot and killed people. They raised millions for him. Some people motioned for him to have a statue. He got recognized by political members of different political parties. He was championed from them. But most importantly, they were there economically with his to help. His defense fund never needed any help. He was offered several jobs. But in this point, that's what has to happen to these people, every single one of them. They have to be a cushion for them to fall on. Otherwise, regret will come in to saying, man, this wasn't worth it. If this moment can be a turning point, I told you, can be a turning point towards a movement. That means that any time that it is seen a situation of such, black people will feel obligated. Black men, I'm talking to you, would feel obligated to get involved, to at least get those people off that man. At least. You should feel obligated. If you don't feel obligated, guess what? That's you. You ain't cut from that cloth. Everybody ain't cut from that cloth. And you really don't have to be. Just understand that a lot of tensions are going to be on peak for the next 16 months, 17 months. On peak. Guys, I'm telling you, I've had my fair share of encounters with police officers. And just yesterday, I had to make a business decision. I'm on the way home from covering the statement session. It's an elite invite-only camp held in Lafayette, Louisiana. Maul Monday, like call him my nephew. He operates and directs this camp every year. The camp attracted about 30 college coaches from different states, mostly Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas. Great energy in the building from those young men. Took note and acknowledged about 10 or so of them on Twitter yesterday evening. I started doing so before I left Lafayette. Then as I got to Lake Charles, when they have a couple of overpasses, then they have that one big freeway that serves like as a ship channel, so to speak. A young lady, you know, I'm riding in the left lane, and a young lady was in the middle lane. Not sure what distracted her, but she went over to go into, according to her, to the right lane so she can exit the freeway. Somebody was in that lane, occupying that space. It startled her, so in her effort to regather her vehicle back in that second lane, her momentum took her over. And she came and invaded my lane. Mind you, we're going up the bridge, the overpass right now. Looked over. There's no shoulder when you're going up that bridge on the left side. She made contact with my vehicle, going about 65, 75 miles an hour. And luckily, the young lady did not lose total control of her vehicle, nor did myself. Luckily, that was an exit, just 100 yards, less than 100 yards away. We took that exit, and I told you I had to make another business decision. Number one was what I was going to do, avoid her or let her take that contact. I'd rather take that contact than to go hit that rail and possibly flip over that rail. We get down, this young white girl, get out this little old, where we used cars that we describe so eloquently as a hoopty. A 2002 Crown Victoria. That's a heavy piece of machinery. Young white girl, 25 years old, 24 years old. I look at her driver's license. She's from that area. So I said, well, she starts crying. If I call the police, then that means she could flip her story. And that's probably going to be a white police officer, probably going to get dispatched to me. It's about 95, 100 degrees out there. About 5:30 yesterday evening. I verify her insurance. She only has liability, which it doesn't matter. That's good enough for me. That's her own. Liability don't cover her car. It covers the other one. I get her info, take all the pictures I need. I even videoed her ass. And the thing is, I let her know I'm going to do you a solid. My random act of kindness today is number one, I'm not going to subject you to legal expenses, legal problems. But at the same time, I really didn't feel comfortable. I'm on the side of the road now. We ain't on the freeway. If one of them laws come up there, and now they flip the script. Might have been her cousin. Might have been her Uncle Cletus. Might have been a boyfriend. Might have been a guy that just been waiting and just saw the video from Montgomery, Alabama. I said, no, this ain't the day. I got everything I need. My car looked like it's drivable. Let me get on back to H-Town. And I deal with it like that. And that's what I did. So I just wanted to share that with you. Sometimes your ability to solve problems. Now, of course, talk to the insurance company 3 or 4 times and we have a claim in motion. But this young lady is refusing to answer her telephone from the insurance company. So I learned a little bit how that goes over the years. They normally get about 3 to 5 times they're going to try to make contact with the person. Then after the end, the insurance going to take a stance and say, well, we can't do nothing because our person ain't accepted responsibility. Then that means I got to get my insurance to push it through. Then my insurance sue their insurance and then get their bread back. But then I'm out of the deductible. That's normally how this story gonna probably end on that. Now, the third squabble this past weekend brought us all the way back home to H-Town. Also on Saturday. That was a guy that's real popular around H-Town. Many people, from the way he dressed, he'll carry a cane, he'll have some Calvin Murphy-ish attire on in a pimpish manner. So a lot of people grown to call him Macaroni Tony. Macaroni Tony's 73 years old. And we have, hold on, we're going to crank back up. The hotline is on. And what we're going to do is, hold on one second. Hold on one second. We're gonna get this boom boom room crunk today. Remember, I vowed and I promised you guys. Oh, that's the wrong line. That's the wrong line. So we're gonna get, the line is on there. That's the wrong line. It's 832-264-1500 is the number. You want to share your thoughts. But anyway, Macaroni Tony was jumped on by a group of black people. He's black, in the Galleria Mall of Houston. Nobody came to Macaroni Tony's defense. Not that I saw. Now, what Macaroni Tony did, I don't know, but what I heard was that he used a feather, allegedly, to make contact with one of the females inappropriately. And they went to jumping on Macaroni Tony's butt. 73 years old. He had on yellow pants, a yellow do-rag, and he had some yellow shades on with the black, yellow frame. They blooded this 73-year-old man. At that point, were they wrong for that? Were they wrong? That's a good question for you guys. Meanwhile, we open up the phone lines, 832-264-1500, as I commence to sharing this show. And I'm going to invite you guys to do so as well. I just shared the show. And we're going to ask you guys to join me in sharing the show. All right? And of course, how to ask you guys, pose a question for you guys. Did anyone listen to the commentary of the people who were filming back to the first incident in Montgomery, Alabama? And which like I said, I don't know. It's a lot of videos out there. I heard one when the guy and the female were talking during the fight. Might have been the same one after the brawl, where they were pointing out different suspects to the authorities, and they were giving play-by-play. It seemed like in this situation. But, and I asked you guys earlier, if you were there, what would you have done? What would you have done if you were there? And I'm looking right now. I'm reading some of the comments. And Alfield Visa says, I just watched the Emmett Till movie last night. If I was in Alabama, I think I would have been out on the river, cutting up. The South shall rise again, shall raise again. Marcus Carroll, who recently lived down that way, or may still do, I know he coached down there last year, says, it's a shame that we are still living in this current era, this type of stuff. I was really proud to see black folks step up and make a stand. Now we can just stop going against each other. That's the whole thing, Marcus Carroll. The real stand is providing a tip or drop in the bucket that can help with the defense funds, the potential defense funds of these black men. Because those people who are going to be, or the prosecutors, are likely white men. They are likely to know one of these men who instigated this situation. Remember, there's business owners. And if you think that the buddy system in politics don't exist, then come on, you're watching the wrong show in the first place. You go and switch over somewhere else where you can just, get a laugh or two. These guys are going to need assistance. $5. Don't seem like much, but I remember I used to go around and speak at different camps and stuff, and I always, 10, 15 years ago, and I would pose the question to a lot of the campers. I would ask them, would you rather have $1 million cash money or 1 million friends? Would you rather have $1 million cash or 1 million friends? It's not a trap question. It's not a trick question. It's just an aptitude question, just to see which one you would rather at your point in life, whatever you've done, whatever you've lived, which one would you rather have right now? $1 million cash or 1 million friends? The most common answer is $1 million cash. And the counter answer, of course, which is the only other answer, would be for those who opt for 1 million friends. You can go to each one of them and get $5. You can send a mass cash app to all of your 1 million friends. Yo, need a favor. Can you give me $5? If they're your friends, they're going to give you that $5 because you haven't asked them for $5 before, or because they're your friend. So that means you will have 1 million friends and $5 million cash. Just give you something to soak on. No right or wrong. Just an aptitude question. I mean, you know. See some more people falling into the chop shop as we talking and branching on a lot of things that happened this past weekend. Once again, the phone lines open, 832-264-1500. A lot of people at work can't talk right now. People going to them in the cubicle next to them. And we are officially at the top of the hour. And we are heading into the back nine with you guys right in tow. And wow. Looking right now at some of the messages, looking at a couple of text messages as well. You guys, I'm looking at some of the comments. Lori Dotson says, give me the money. Sonia Billings said, give me the money. Monte said, give me the cash, because my circle is solid. Herb Baker says, appreciate everything. But of course now, I'm looking at some of the comments and posting as I post a minute more of them for you guys. And Marcus Carroll says, really sad that you really did. And you really did well with your Louisiana experience, as that is a testimony to your character and graceful mindset. God is true on your side. I'm glad you are okay, because Lake Charles area is truly dangerous more than ever at the moment. Yes, I've heard. And I wasn't trying to spend another second out there alone with a young white female who's crying on the side of the road. That was my dog whistle right there. Guys, I don't know how many of y'all have some spidey. Everybody has the capability for a sixth sense. I got a pretty good one. And boy, if y'all saw a picture, she was getting ready to go somewhere. She was getting ready to go somewhere, to like a party or something. I ain't forget up into that. No. Now, of course, you guys, in case you proceed back into the sports world, whereas the Pac-12, wow, is then continued to further burst or grow towards extinction, as Utah and Arizona State has been approved for the Big 12. Washington and Oregon is going to the Big 10. Schools like Stanford are kind of stuck right now in limbo. This move to the Big 12, it really makes University of Houston looks like geniuses. For whomever had the power to persuade that move, trust me, we're just getting news about the Pac-12. There are people inside of circles that knew months, years ago that this day was coming. The rumors had been swirling. And why? It's all over TV money. It's over TV money. One network, these games, ESPN, you have other games on Fox. I think Fox Sports broadcasts a lot of the Pac-12 games, I think. Those are the main two television networks. Apple TV was getting into the mix with the Pac-12 and has gotten into the mix, rumored, with a proposal for the Pac-12. That means providing live streams and you go, on the Apple, which people be able to watch on their cell phones, which most people can do anyway. But I applaud University of Houston. I'm just not saying there's no applaud for none of the other schools, the Central Florida and the Cincinnati's, and and hopped on in, and I think BYU that hopped on in there as well. But for Houston, after going to the Final Four, Elite Eight a couple of times, for them to jump in there, it was ahead of the curve. And now it will forever change the recruit ability and the potency of their personnel, as well as the budget and the economics of the program, the athletic department, forever be changed as a result of this move. For, let's say forever mean for the foreseeable future. And speaking of University of Houston, they have traveled to Australia, and they played their first game yesterday, against the East All-Stars. The Australia East All-Stars. And University of Houston started off sluggishly in the first half. They played 4 quarters. End of the first quarter, the score was 17-16. At halftime, it was 32-28. But by the end of the third quarter, the score was 68 to 37. U of H outscored them 36-9 in the third quarter. They won 93-52, and despite being out-rebounded 41-40. University of Houston created 28 turnovers with their defense. 28 turnovers their defense caused. U of H accumulated 17 steals in this exhibition. They did not shoot the ball as well as they did during the red and white game, when that was attended by the Chop Shop. U of H was only 9 for 33 from behind the arc, and only 16 for 25 from the free throw line. Yet they still won by 41 points. Despite JVL Francis, I heard he dinged his knee in practice with the Cougars, and he was held out of action, did not play. Jawan Roberts, who did not play in the red-white scrimmage, he played as the forward position, which the University of Houston opted to go with a 4-guard starting lineup. They attempted 33 three-pointers. These Cougars team is basically letting you know, when we saw it last week, they are very heavy on the perimeter. They're very potent on the perimeter. They're going to live and die by their guards' ability to make plays on both ends. Whatever they get from Javier Francis, Jawan Roberts, and the rest of those guys in the front court, that's like icing on the cake. But it's going to come down, of course, to Jamal Shead, who, ironically, in this particular game, Jamal Shead only had 4 points. He had 5 assists, 2 steals. He was 1 for 5 from the field. I don't know what is going on with Shead, but I pointed it out when I saw it with my own eyes the other day. I think that maybe he have added too much weight, or he hasn't learned how to maintain the same level of progress, of productivity with the new body size, with his new frame. LJ Cryer had 16 points, 4 turnovers, 1 assist. He was 6 for 19 from the field. LJ Cryer did not shoot it well. Remember, I told you guys, the rule of thumb is however many shot attempts you take, that's how many points you should have. So if you take 19 shots, you should have at least 19 points. LJ Cryer knows he didn't shoot it well. 4 for 13 from three-point lane. He knows that. But your team won by 40, so you're good. That only gets magnified as your improvement. Remember, the first game isn't the game that I'm concerned about. That I'm not even concerned. This is exhibitions. That I'm paying attention to, put it like that. I'm paying attention to the game number 2. Game number 2. And the second game, and that game will take place on Wednesday, when the Cougars will take on the Australian national team. That's this Wednesday, right? And on that Australian national team, right, you have a lot of players who are currently in the NBA on that roster. Will they play? I don't know. We'll know Wednesday. But they're on the roster, such as Matthew Dellavedova, Dante Exum, Josh Giddey, right? Josh Green, Joe Ingles, Jock Landale with the Rockets, Patty Mills, Matisse Thybulle, Jack White. That's like 8 NBA guys on that team. We'll see. Definitely for certain, University of Houston will not be able to go and shoot and miss 9 free throws in that particular, against these guys. You won't, and win. You won't be able to miss 24 of your 33 three-point attempts and win. Not against these guys. Got to shoot better. It'll come. And so that's the thing going into this second game. Remember now, A lot of the Cougars, they've been practicing with the FIBA ball. It's a different type of ball, but that same ball shot 50% pretty much almost the other day. They got the kinks out against this team. Now they get a day to practice today, get the rest, and then they hit on it on Wednesday against the Australian national team. I say this game, you won this game, so it's no big deal. It's a big deal if you lost, and you with those stats, being out rebounded, missing 24 threes, missing 9 free throws. You won by 40. So let's see how. Now, I don't expect the Cougars to beat this Australian national team if all or most of those guys that I mentioned play. No. Don't expect them to win. I'm paying attention. Because those guys, when they're defending some of these guys, University of Houston has like at least three guys that are on some people's draft boards. So this is a pop quiz of how they can fare against that type of length or that type of NBA psyche. See how it goes. But anyway, I'm rooting for the Cougars in this situation. And all people say, this is a good trip, good bonding trip, perfect trip, because what it also does, it increases University of Houston's presence in a continent that is ripe for them to recruit from. So that means, for example, if you can make connections, you can check on these young guys from Australia. That's all of the growing number that are coming over and playing, just like Ben Simmons did. And truth be told, Ben Simmons, if anything, he should have had his ass on his roster, trying to play his way and get back in the groove. That's a certain way for him to do it. But I don't know for what reason he's not on this roster. Thon Maker, I missed him. He's on there. And we say, I'm reading the comments. Alice say, fly your butt over to the other side of the country for 20 hours and see how many shots you make. Then Trey Phillips chime in and say that jet lag ain't no joke. And Darryl Barnes said jet lag is a beast. How many days does it take for jet lag to normally go away? I'm just trying to make sure we not, how many days it take for it to go away. They know that. That's why they put that opponent first, guys. I understand that. It's giving you the numbers for which that's the bottom end of the measuring stick. Well, definitely they can't no worse after being there for another 48 hours. Now, we'll see on Wednesday. Like I say, I'm rooting for the Cougars to make this statement. And I know Santini says Memphis looked pretty against DR. I think they lost that game, didn't they? I don't know what you meant, if that's sarcastic or something about pretty. And he also says that Kansas is playing against the Bahamas and Puerto Rico. The Bahamas had 3 NBA players active today. Which ones were active? You care to share that with us? Now, meanwhile, as we get ready to morph into the topic of recruiting, and you guys can share the show right now. As always, good convo. It's 19 minutes past the hour. 19 minutes past the hour. And phone line's still open. There we go. Now, I'm still asking for you guys that's been and traveled abroad, how many days does it take for the jet lag to expire? If you play, you basketball players. Marcus Carroll, yeah, he says you've been to China 8 times. Still go through it. So at what point? At which game? The Cougars arrived there Friday, I think. Friday or Saturday. And I can understand. It definitely can be there. But what? Okay. Buddy Hill, Eric Gordon, and the Sun Center was there. Saw Eric Gordon. He was working out in Houston the other day. Before I went out of town. And now the recruiting component. You guys, that's all on that topic. Let's go on and switch gears and talk about some good stuff. Shout out to again Kellen Buffington at his new endeavor as the GM of the Texas Tech men's basketball department, and that has opened the door for Snoop Johnson, former college coach and multi-year state champion from Dallas Kimball High School, is going to thrust himself back into the evaluations and event operating business. Nothing wrong with that. It's good stuff. And so Snoop positioned himself to do that, just as doing so, one of the top rising juniors from DFW has announced that he's leaving the city to go to a prep school. I want to say Sunrise Christian for Jeremiah Green. He's talented too. Guard. Part of that very deep class of 2025 that's been banging the tables on, right? Well, also this past weekend, or last week, it was announced that Sebastian Williams Adams from out of Houston St. John's High School has been invited to the Under Armour's Elite 24. Talked about that last week, I think as well, on Thursday. It's a great accomplishment for this young fellow. And I'll be looking forward for him to going there and showing off. If he shows off, it's a testament, it's a measuring stick, and it's a great thing if he does for the rest of the state. Especially, specifically the class of 2025. Here's what I mean by that. If he does not, then that means however good we think he is, then they're going to say, well, he's your top. Then the rest of those guys would probably have not fared as well. So we go like this. So we need him to fare well, very well, in this game. And if he does, it opens the floodgates for this very deep class of 2025. Very deep. Right? And I'm looking right now, and we're talking recruiting. And we go now in my bag. I have a couple of emails. I want to throw out there to you guys, see what your thoughts is. And of course, one of them is the first. Is directed to the Houston Area Basketball Coaches Association, who I've been a long time supporter of and allies with. No, nothing against them at all. But one of the coaches of one of the local private schools, he says he's been a member for at least 3 years. And in being a member for 3 years, say he does so primarily so that it can benefit him or yield him the opportunity to get into events such as mine for free that accept the HAPCA membership. But he also joined so that it can help bridge the gap of communication and dialogue from private schools to the public schools. And meaning that when it comes time for these all-star games, none of his players have been deemed the opportunity to, none of his top seniors deemed the opportunity to play. And so that's a great question as to why be a member if they're not eligible to get scholarships, they're not able to be selected in the all-star games, and basically not even invited to even participate in their shootouts. That's a good question, and which I directed the coach to send a communication, an email to the HAPCA administrators so that they can talk on it. I think it just might be an oversight. I know at one point in time it might have been purposely done, but the truth be told, a lot of the private schools of yesteryear, who a lot of these high schools had grown leery or suspect of, or even afraid in a sense of, hell, they're being preyed upon by a third party of basketball schools and or operations nowadays. So it's kind of like those guys aren't the wolves anymore, so to speak, as much as some of the other schools may be when we're using the term, wolves and sheep, with sheep being the public schools. My thing is, if you're going to offer these guys and take these guys money, then don't take their money if you're not going to include them in the brotherhood or the fraternity or yield any of the benefits to them. That's what I'm saying. That's the truth. And thanks, of course, Trey Phillips said the Houston Area Girls Coaches Association would not even allow private school coaches to join. But that's all they have to do. And for a time, boys coaches couldn't join the Houston Area Basketball Coaches Association. They opened it up. See, here's when they opened it up. Was when Straight Jesuit, back in 2008, when Straight Jesuit was allowed part of the UIL 15 years ago. It was Straight Jesuit and Dallas Jesuit. Well, when they became part of the UIL, they were private schools just the day before. So they amended to allow private schools in. HAPCA. Straight Jesuit is a boys' school. St. Agnes, which shares the parking lot with them, is the girls' version of Straight Jesuit. But I'm not sure. I don't think UIL allowed them into the girls' side. So girls had no reason to modify, or no incentive. It would have been hypocritical for the boys to not have let Straight Jesuit in the first place, after it had been deemed part of the UIL. So that's hope that explains that part. Got another question, and we'll open this stage up for you guys. If you're out there, any recruiting questions that you have, you don't get this much of my time, candidly, to address your questions. This is the perfect time, the perfect day to do so. But I'm going to ask you to share the show right now. I need you to share the show to your timelines, and let's get this thing cooking shortly. King Stick says, any updates on Ruck on Wood? Yes, as of right now, we have approximately 90 slots for each class. 27, 26, 25, 24. So that's approximately 360 players that we can accept in the Ruck on Wood combined. 360 slots. Right now there's over 500 requests for those 360 slots with 2 weeks to go. Invites started going out this past weekend. Doug Jones is in charge of the invites, as he was last year, and he will be sending those out. He should have sent them out to the 27s, class of 27 and the class of 26. Those should have been sent out by the end of today. If a person doesn't respond by a certain date, I don't know what date is in the paper, in the invite, then they will automatically be placed on a wait status, like standby status, and we will move on to the second wave of invites. We're not going to play around with this stuff, because all it does, it builds up for more work for myself. More work. The more work I have to do, and if you're around me, especially when it's nearing game day, that means that's more grouchy I get, and that's more difficult I am to work with once it gets with more work at the belt. I can solve the problems, but then it's gonna roll downhill. So this Ruck on Wood, it's an awesome experience. It's the only thing of its kind. It takes a lot of moving parts to make this thing come together. It's on the campus of the University of St. Thomas, again, which a lot of these young men have never played on a college campus. The head coach, this is a D3 institution, which enables the head coach to stretch the kids, work them out. Their players serve as volunteer bench coaches during the Ruck on Wood. If you haven't been, it's all, like I said, it's awesome to see. It's awesome. Now, what it does, remember, it's open gym. But what it does is it gives you an opportunity to measure or to gauge the toughness of a lot of kids, because it's hard to tell some things if a referee is going to bail you out all the time. Yes, we do have a referee on each court just to keep things kosher. But the referees aren't there to call fouls. They will call a foul, but they aren't there to call fouls because the clock is steady running. You're not shooting free throws. And every time you got to stop and line up, that takes another 10, 15 seconds off the clock. So the advice I give young men before you proceed in the Ruck on Wood in that type of environment, get it in your head that don't run your butt into up into that paint. You're gonna get knocked on your ass, and the ball gonna be going the other way because you're wasting the time of your teammates. And we also have a rule where you gotta have so many passes before a shot is attempted, unless it's a fast break. and that way it kind of keeps things from, it hinders the ability to conspire the efforts of ball hogging. So that's what we do. That's what we do in regards to Ruck on Wood. Each session lasts about right at 3 hours, about 2 hours and 45 minutes for each session. We go 9th and 10th graders on August the 20th. Then on August 27th, we go 11th and 12th graders. Those are 2 Sundays, which is, Ruck on Wood is always the last 2 Sundays of August. It's always the last 2 Sundays of August. Now, we got other questions. Somebody's posting in the boom. Any guys got questions, just toss them to me. With the realignment conference changes, do you believe that in-state schools will be able to secure Texas top 20 to 25 recruits, or will it be more easy to go for the out-of-state schools to get Texas kids? Let me tell you something. It's a good question, Mr. Williford. The class of 2025 is so deep that Texas, University of Houston, A&M, Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech can all eat and get one top 100 caliber player, and still will be a 10 to 20 more that's from the state that can go abroad to other schools. Everybody can eat off 2025 in the state of Texas, or have the capability to eat. There's that much talent from the state of Texas in 2025. Is that much talent. Whatever you're looking for, so the thing is, if you're in the scouting service business, this is the good day to be in the business, because you have the more intel that you guys can provide on those particular kids, the more college coach would want to invest their dollars into you to yield a return or to get an advantage while recruiting one of those 2025 players. Hope that answered the question for you. Here go another question. From Kevin K. What can the kids accomplish playing in these current tournaments after the live period ends? I'm glad you asked that question, Kevin. And truth be told, they can accomplish a lot. First and foremost, only 1% of division, only less than 1% of Division I players. And that means you've played in front of Division I coaches. Fish ain't biting. That means your ass better be playing every chance you get in front of those other coaches, or at least in one of them, or inviting one to come and see where you're playing at. It goes on to the next one. So yes, it can accomplish a lot. You can get to test your skill set against like players. Something you may have learned in a workout, or your developmental guy, or your trainer then gave you an extra move. You want to test it in live action or live ball or situations. So you can learn, you can accomplish a lot. See, here's the thing. Before this new era of grassroots basketball, yes, the kids, they stopped playing at the end of July. But when it wasn't a live period, the question never came up, why are we playing in this? That was a statewide atmosphere where sneaker teams played against the independent teams, guys played. They didn't care if Division I coaches were there or not. They played to get better. They played to kick ass. So those are two things, if nothing else that I said before resonated, that matters, that they can accomplish, by playing in these current tournaments. You can get better and you can kick some ass. And that goes right hand in hand with this past weekend. I mentioned to you guys earlier, I went down to Lafayette, Louisiana, and Maul Monday had his statement session. And in the statement session, there was approximately 40 players that were divided up into 6 teams. No team had more than 7 players on it. That ensured a lot of playing time. Each game was 28 minutes. One half, 28 minutes. The clock stopped. And when it got down to the brackets, the games were only 14 minutes. And there's a couple of Division I prospects, excuse me guys, that were there, that was present. That showed up and showed out. It don't take long. If you're paying attention, tell who's the best prospect in the room. It doesn't take long. Then you go and you evaluate and see what else is Division I product. Then you go and you talk to them, find out what's their why. Why they're in this situation. The first thing people do when they see somebody new or somebody that they're not familiar with, man, everybody must be sleeping on you, man. What, man? Why ain't nobody? Man, you cold, man. You ask questions and you can find out and get a better understanding as to why certain kids are in that situation. So I asked one young man, I say, yo, young fella, what's your college situation like? Who's the last 2-3 schools that has bid on you, right? Who's the last 2 or 3? And he tells me names a couple of schools. And one of the schools he named, that's a Division I. I say, okay, when did they offer you? He says last year. I say, when the last time have you talked to the coaches? Or have you seen the coaches? Say, well, they was at one of my games this summer. I say, so you haven't talked to the staff since then? You have no official visits set up or anything? You're class of 2024, right? You're a rising senior, right? I say, yes, sir. Kid, let me tell you this. I'm going to tell you something that most grown folk in these gyms ain't going to tell you, because I want you to be proactive in your recruitment. You're pretty talented today, right now. But I need you to try to go in the next couple of days to call that staff of that college, the Division I that you told me about, and ask them, is their offer still on the table? You look at these offers, guys, as though they're a coupon. Look at them just like they're a coupon. They have an expiration date on the bottom of them. Now, the coupon isn't going to send you a reminder in your cell phone, let you know when that date expires. But coaches don't necessarily know when their offer is going to expire. It's just going to expire. They're going to move in a different direction. Often kids don't understand, they're the last to know, because it sounds so good, or they think that practice of making it sound so good, because grown-ups, when they're seeking, hey man, what school's recruiting you, man? No, that's almost like asking them to lie to them. So kids do it. They'll tell you. Their parents do it. Their grown-up, their relatives do it. Their friends do it. Everybody does it because they feel it's convenient and because they know they can. And many times, some of those people may be unknowingly lying to you. For the most part, they know. So I'm one of the ones that going to ask the kid the question, what coach gave you the offer? Then I let the young man know, as I said before, I need you to go and reach back into that school, to that particular coach, and ask them point blank, are you still offering me a scholarship? Just period. Because once you do, it's going to set you free and it's going to make you understand things. Otherwise, you're prone to miss out on or block your blessings coming from a different direction. Waiting on somebody that's not even looking for you. Waiting on somebody that's not even looking to pick you up. This is important. And you know, I'm convinced that there's going to always, for the foreseeable future, be a market for people to lie or for people to extend frivolous, fake-ass offers. Because so many grown folk welcome and embrace those fake offers just so they can make a statement and get the attention of other schools. Truth be told, most of those other schools know that offer is fake as well. They know it. The ones that do their homework, they know it. So, back to the questions. Jermaine Jordan says, how can Houston get back on top as the mecca of high school basketball in Texas? All of this stuff, Jermaine, goes in peaks and valleys. DFW is having one hell of a ride. But the 2025 is definitely a start. Now, it takes a string of classes to dominate in. It takes a string of them, about 3-4 in a row, to turn that tide. Really 2 in a row for Houston to turn heads or shift the momentum in that direction. But it'll get there. Right now, I'm happy for DFW because it makes the state, it validated the state. When the last time, if you're from Texas, you got into an argument with the guys from Illinois, New York, who's back, by the way. They're back. But last time you got into an argument with them from Florida. Last time. When you do, they got to resort toward the NBA. They'll start pointing out the NBA guys they got. We're talking about high school. So it'll be all right. It'll be all right. Trust me. Only one can be number one. H-Town, we've been there, done that. We'll be back there very soon. Meanwhile, college coaches, they know H-Town is loaded. They know that. Now you got to go and the kids have to go and play and live up to that hype. We've put a lot of expectations on the backs of these 2025 players, not just from Houston, but from the entire state of Texas. It is a lot of expectation. And here's what's going to happen. Going into the high school seasons and then the summer, people from out of this state are going to be watching patiently. They're going to be watching, hoping that our local kids don't fare well, or in some cases, not everybody. And when they don't fare well, they're going to remind us at every turn. So that's why you get in front of it and explain to them. A kid, a kid can have a bad game or a bad day, but this state of Texas is still loaded. King Stick says, how do kids know when they get an invite? To Ruck on Wood, that is, you would check with your grassroots coach, your high school coach. Those two are the two primary recipients of the invite, if it's not the kid himself. Meanwhile, or you can just contact Doug Jones. Jones at rcssports.com. Jones at rcssports.com. Let's see. Let me put it out for you guys. Jones at. There you go. Shout out to Melvin Mark Slow-Mo's in the building. Paul Miranda in the building as well. And if you have questions, please feel free to post them. Now, Melvin Dew says, how long is too long not to communicate with a college that gave a committable offer before you better reach out? How long is too long not to communicate? You're in the fall right now. If you got an offer, you want to be communicating with that college coach at least once every 10 days. Once every 10 days at least. That's the max. That offer, guys, those coaches are bringing kids on campus. Football games are about to start in a couple of weeks, and guess what's going to happen? Prospects, recruits are going to be taking and occupying those coaches' time, so they really can't talk much with you on weekends. Weekdays, don't get it twisted. Any of them can text, but they are restricted. It's kind of like you're a chick and you calling this guy while he's on his date with another chick that he's going on a date with. There's a kid in town over the weekend. So people do it all the time. They text the coaches, messing with them, seeing what they're going to do, seeing if they're going to respond back. But, out of respect, give them people their time. If you wanted to be there, schedule your damn visit earlier and get it out the way and commit. You don't have to play around with the people. That's their livelihood. That's their jobs. So hopefully that answer, 4 to 10 days is the time not to wait during this time of the year. This time of the year, because you want to be in touch with them. Coach, how you doing? You come on now. These coaches fall in love these college coaches fall in love every 5 minutes in this business. Yeah. You will learn. You will learn. And of course, Paul Miranda says state matters more than the city. Absolutely. State of Texas. Right now, state of Texas. We're good. Out of town teams, you've created a new normal where they know they have to come through this state. They know they have to come through this state. So why keep going to them? I didn't say don't go nowhere, but you don't have to. You don't have to keep going here. Independence, you don't have to. See, the deeper this class is, makes it really, really good for those mid-majors as well. North Texas, who just won the NIT. Any of you guys can't just go play at North Texas. They had one kid they went and made and from one of the local schools, and they put it out there like he had an offer. They was like, oh, this is a walk-on. Not an offer. That means, and if your kid ain't better than him, and he's pretty good, he just go walk on there. If your kid ain't better than him, guys. We just got to stop discounting so many of these colleges like they ain't got, like your kid can really go play there. You got to stop doing that. Like Texas Southern University is your last option. If you're a high school senior, like, oh, I guess I go to TSU. You will go to TSU and red shirt your ass off. You're not going to play in front of them 23, 24-year-old guys, and in some cases 25 years old. You're 19 years old. (20, 21, 22, 23). How many 13 and unders you know can start on, that can play on a 17U? They're the special ones. That's it. Is your kid special? First of all, you have to be able to identify what special is. Name a player in recent memory, and then that way they can see what special means. Special, man. You can be able to go to that school. You don't get it twisted. There are some guys that you went to a certain situation, and that situation had winning ways, and guess what? You couldn't get on that court right then. You might have been behind some pros. But if you're special, you got to be special. Once again, how many 13 and unders can play 17U, be productive playing 17U basketball? Because if you're 13U, they're 17. It's a 4-year age gap, right? So now, as you go and wake up tomorrow morning at 5:30, shoot 1,000 shots, that person's shooting 1,000 shots too. As you go work out again in the evening time, shoot 500 more shots, that person is too. So at the the level of improvement being the same for both players all the way through the next 4 years, then that means you're not going to close that gap. You're going to be got better, but so is he. So is he. Right? And I'm looking right now. What advice do you give for 2025 parents and players that will get calls from out-of-state programs, prep school, OTE, etc., to leave for more exposure? Once again, you're throwing OTE out there as though it's normal. Your kid has to be deemed somewhat special in order for him to get that invite for someone like Overtime Elite. You have to be special, man, for that. What are we talking about? Now, back to the regular prep schools out of state. First of all, ask the coach, ask the person who's calling you, with all due respect, so that I know whom to thank. Who gave you my cell phone number? That way the person don't even see it coming. That way, if you pissed off, that way you'll know who's behind it. You should always ask that after you ask the person's name and you write it down. You need to ask first of all, so that I know whom to thank. How did you get my cell number? Because I want to know. I want to thank them. Because I mean, somebody's trying to look. They could think they're looking out for me or my son. Ask that first. Advice I give to parents is those guys that are from those schools are basically doing what they're doing their jobs. They're trying to get in touch with you to keep talent going, keep it flowing, and guess what? They're going to, nowadays, they're not going to stop calling you. They're not going to stop DMing you. If you don't want them to contact you, you have to treat it like they're a vampire. Or treat it like a telemarketer. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to take my number out of your database. That's one way. If you don't want them, if you don't want them to call, they're going to keep calling. I thank you for your efforts, but we are not interested, and let this no mean no. Now, otherwise, if you're going to entertain it, some of those guys, they make 5 to 10 phone calls like that per day for your babies, for your types of kids. They make those calls per day, 5 to 10. They're pro, it's like a telemarketer. They're pros at what they're doing. So they can sell you on this, sell you on that. And you're not, and most times on those phone calls, you're not prepared to, or you're not to ask them, present the proper questions to them. Ask them to put it in writing. Some will, most won't. Ask them how many kids have transferred out away from them. Ask them, can you have the phone number to the parents of 2 of those kids? Is every one of your ex-girlfriends, do all of them hate your guts? Will all of them give you an unfavorable vote? Well, if the answer to either one of those questions is no, then that means ain't no problem asking no school to give you, put you in contact or give you the number to one of their ex-students. That went on the way. You want to get to find out as much intel about that program as possible. Otherwise, you're going to give them too much of your ear, and they are pros, and you're going to be lured away. It's going to cause problems. If you, I tell people all the time, you really shouldn't leave unless you have a reason to. Shouldn't leave unless you have a reason to. And Herb Baker gave an answer to the question a while ago. If your offer is committable, they will be in contact with you on a regular basis. Yes, they will be. They will be every week, especially this time of the year. But I think there's so many people out there, Herb, that have offers out there that have told a lie told often enough turns into the truth. A lie told often enough turns into the truth. So what that basically means is that some people have told themselves that this school has offered them so much, they've told it to other people that they believe it themselves now. In publicly, they know better or they wonder, or they're curious at home in the private. Kevin Freeman, we talked about the U of H game a while ago. And I put up there, we talked about that game, and you probably had missed it. And once again, I like Emmanuel Sharp's productivity. I also like the productivity again of JoJo Tugler. JoJo Tugler had 10.7 rebounds in that game. Also, Malik Wilson, he had 12 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds in that game. Shout out to the Cougars. They're off today, I think until, I want to say Wednesday. August the 9th. The second. And I'm looking right now on today. Well, I'm sorry, today they've just played. Yeah, and they're off, yeah, to Wednesday. Which will probably be Tuesday night for us, when I think about it. But anyway, we got a congratulations out there for Glenn Bishop. He's a senior for class of 2023. And he has committed to Sneed State Community College, right? And it's funny, you know, I had just told a couple of coaches about him about 2 weeks ago, and but he finally, remember, some people have to get it out of the mud. And now at this point, he has to get it out of the mud. You have to go and go to the JUCO route and let the chips fall where they may. But at least he got an opportunity to continue his basketball dream of playing collegiate basketball. Shout out to Glenn Bishop. I'm seeing it, making sure and this is definitely a true statement as well. Some of the coaches had their hand in a lot of these recruiting lies, you know, quote unquote, you know, little Johnny gonna offer my boy Ty an offer so I can generate some smoke for him, you know, won't get other guys' attention. And all it does, man, is make these kids drive them further into mental conditions where they just don't even want to play basketball no more. Because they get to thinking that they were that close, and you weren't that close. But it's a market to be made because more people out there are willing to pay for the trainings and the workouts. And every time you get a kid, you're gonna make, it's like a mechanic. You're gonna get that car and say, man, I can have this thing on the road in 2 weeks. Oh man, let me turn some bolts on this motor. I can have you purring like a kitten. We need a more informed community of out there. And as you guys get more informed, then the decisions can be made in a better rate, right? And Archie says, congratulate, talking to Glenn Bishop. He gives his congratulations, right? Kim Framer says located in Boaz, Alabama. That's that school. And B. Scott say this recruiting stuff is just like dating. It's the best analogy. Yes. I gave a kid that same analogy this past weekend in Louisiana at Mall Monday's statement session. I asked the young man, say, you met a girl this past summer, you got her number, y'all exchanged messages back and forth. You ain't talked to that girl since that date. She said she liked you. You think y'all going to the prom because you told her everything she wanted to hear, or she told you everything you wanted to hear, vice versa. Now you think y'all going to the prom together. Think y'all going to the homecoming dance. That's what I said, together. You ain't talked to her since July. She talking to somebody. You talking to somebody. So do you really think that that offer to go to the homecoming dance still on the table with that girl right now? No. That's how this college stuff is, guys. Grown folk, the best I can leave you with, stop letting these people lie to you. See, you're letting too many lies live. Stop letting them lie to you. And then guess what? People tell some of y'all some stuff they know they can. So you don't have to say stop lying. Don't do that. That's too defense. Put them on the defense. How you dispel it is you ask intelligent questions that if they attempt to answer it, it's going to either make them look ignorant or they're going to not even answer and change the subject and don't realize I can't tell him that. Hey, so-and-so offered my baby, man, what school? Really, really? Oh, man, we got sick. We got all. Okay. Which one of the coaches offered? When the last time you heard from them? If you're a rising senior, when is your official visits set up? No, everybody got their official visits set up by now. Everybody has official visits set by now. That's 3 quick questions to make them just, they're going to say, I don't know, I'm not sure. So why the hell you telling you trying to feed me this? Hit him with this. Why hasn't he committed? Why hasn't he committed? Oh man, just waiting on, okay. I'm just asking. Now I'm getting all these answers. And people don't want, they weren't prepared for you to ask them questions. So if more people will stop letting these kids and their relatives lie to you. I'm not saying challenge everything that's said, but when certain things don't sound right, ask the question. Otherwise, they're telling you so that you can go and transfer their lie to the abroad. Real talk. That's exactly what I said, Paul. And the end is going to hurt the kid because the kid has been led to believe that he's better than what he is. So they're going to decline the solicitations from the level for which he can play at. That was one of the reasons this statement session this past weekend was so good, because it was about 30 college coaches in there. None were Division I. They were there, and they had talent there. And every one of those kids I'm asking, maybe only 2 of them, maybe 3, had committable Division I offers on the table right now. Rest of those kids in Louisiana, they got to get it how they live. That means schools like Lee College from right here outside of Houston drove all the way down there to get right up in there. They have a pipeline flowing from Louisiana already. So every time Lee College can be there and Angelina can't, it's an advantage for Lee College. Every time Lee College can be there and Blinn can't, it's an advantage for Lee College. Every time Lee College can be there and Lamar State Port Arthur, which is an hour and a half closer, can be there, and they can't, it's an advantage for Lee College. So when coaches can be in a situation where they can get an advantage with that many kids at one time, It's a home run for recruiting. They had college coaches coaching each team. On each bench, there was college coaches coaching each of the 6 teams, plus the chairs were packed with coaches watching both gyms at the same time. Almost 30 college coaches there. I know one thing. There was a young man that's named Trey Green. Trey Green. Trey apostrophe Dez, D-E-Z Green. He's from out of Zachary, Louisiana, about 6'8". This young man right here, let me tell y'all something. He's a tight end. He's ranked like the number 2 tight end. He's amongst the top 5 tight ends in the country. I could see Martellus Bennett all over this kid right here. I can see Jermichael Finley all up in this kid right here. I can see some on a high school level, some Derek Griffin in this kid right here. He's committed to LSU for football. Rightfully so. He was out there hooping. Tweaked his ankle in the second game. He landed on the floor to a loud growl. You could hear him hollering on the other end of the floor. Took about 10 minutes. They helped him up, limped him to the back. Eventually came out, sat on the end of the bench with his chair elevated while he was rooting on his teammates. They sit one game, had to play again. He was in the layup line. He was in the layup line. And I told him, I said, man, they shouldn't let him play if he's already committed to a college. You don't want to, he's shown enough. And not that I persuaded him not to play, but I told one of the administrators, "Why? Yeah, don't let that dude play, man. You don't want to risk nothing. He done enough." It's easy to tell he was the best recruit in the building, but he was on that bench with his tennis tied, rooting his teammates on. Trey Green. That kid there has a chance to make some real money on Sundays. For real though. Also, I list some more names I'll share with you guys on tomorrow, but it's almost time to land that plane. Heard he played on Live On 17U. Yeah, I'm not sure why he was even participating in the camp of that caliber. Well, Herb, in that state of Louisiana, that's the camp. In that state, that's the camp to go to. They don't normally have enough Division Ones to where they can have something like a Division I camp with just Division I players. But in Louisiana, that is the measuring stick of all the camps that takes place in that state. True that. Matter of fact, this kid from A&M that started as a freshman this year, he's from Louisiana. What's his name, guys? You guys can tell me. It's a kid from Texas A&M basketball. He was at this camp. I saw him 2 years ago. I was like, oh Lord, he's the best. It's no brainer he was the best dude in the building. Touch top of the square. His name starts with an S. Yeah, and I say he's gonna play on Sunday. He has a chance, depending on what he does in college, and he stays dedicated to football. You know, people say, oh man, you want to play basketball? Everybody, yeah, everybody. Who wouldn't want to be indoors when it's 70 degrees versus being outside when it's 100 degrees? Who wouldn't? Rod, last but not least, we got a Rod Will sighting. Astros split with the Yankees this past weekend. Rangers swept their series. So now the Astros 2.5 behind. It's no big thing. Astros, long as they're in, they're in. It's no big thing. We got plenty of games to go. Astros, Verlander pitched on Saturday. No. Did well. Couldn't get no run support. Thanks, Curtis George. Solomon. That's it. Is it Solomon Walker? Solomon Walker or Solomon Thomas? One of those two. That's the kid. He was at this camp. Division I player. So that's the, but anyway, guys, speaking of baseball, Astros are definitely off today. So I'm looking at the schedule. And the Astros should have swept the Yankees, but we didn't get no run support. Gave up too many runs in late innings in one of those games. Didn't get no run support when Verlander pitched. He did well. That's a great sign. Verlander pitched well. Take that and run with it. Wait on. Now we have that arm. We know we got when he's on that mound. And I'm glad that Astros will be all right. We'll be all right. We are all right. And that will be. We're in very good shape. I'm expecting to see the Yankees play the Braves a week from today, and I'm scheduled to go to that game and check them out face to face. Acuna versus Judge. Gonna be an awesome experience. Anyway, I got to get up out of here. It's time to land this plane. Thanks, Mindy. Jokes has been demoted. Wow. They had to make space. You have to make space on that 40-man on that roster. He's been demoted to AAA. He can't say he didn't get opportunity. He started off hot. Then I think that McCormick stole a lot of his thunder in that outfield. Yeah, King said we talked about Tim Anderson early in the show. Go back and watch it. Astros visit Baltimore. Yes, Baltimore, first place Baltimore. They've won 70 games this season, but Astros still Astro. Baltimore, we can be doing Tampa Bay one hell of a favor by the time the Astros leave B-more. We got to get up out of here, man. Got to go. We definitely ask you guys, if you haven't done so, I need you to share the show. Can you share the show on your way out the door? Good day. We got through it all. 2 hours. It seemed like it came so fast for us, but we got to get to running. I'm out there. Got to get back on the phone and upload some stuff for this insurance company, and also got a couple of meetings this afternoon. Pull up there with my car all banged up. Can't do valet no more now till this stuff get done for a couple of days, at least about a week. But anyway, guys, but I thank you guys for watching today's show. Thank you for the support, and also want to remind you to share the show and be safe today. But we got to get up out of here, and it's time to slide on down Dino's back and yabba dabba do this thing on this Monday. Hatter's supposed to be back in action on tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, if not, I got it. You know, you guys know that. But I'm looking at the comments. They stay a little longer, bro. No, man, gotta go, man. Gotta go. Y'all come on now, get back to work. That's what I need y'all to do. Get back to work and be productive in whatever you do out there. Don't forget, go over to rcssports.com and check out the schedule for the Super 16 extravaganza. It's been released. Also, you can go and check out the we have a couple of spots left for the Freshman Fall Championships, which is on October the 14th. That's a Saturday. If you're interested in that and participating in that, hit me up and let me know, and I can give you the details. Freshman Fall Championships. Remember, this is the last time a lot of these ninth graders at certain schools will not play together for the next 3 years in some cases. Why? They could have been together in the 8th grade, but in 9th grade, one might be on varsity, 2 might be on JV, 3 might be on freshman A, 2 more might be on freshman B. Get the band together one more time and give that varsity coach a glimpse on what could be his starting varsity 3 years from now. That's why one of the purposes of the Freshman Fall Championships. We'll see you guys on tomorrow. Got to get up out of here. Peace, man. Chop Shop. We are out of here. Do it again. We are out of here.
Jim Hicks, Rob Hatter, you are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro. Let's get it. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the Chop Shop. Yeah, it's lit in the Chop Shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't based in debate, but they keep it.